Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King. And today I'm gonna be giving you part 10 of What If Naruto Was an Elite Blue Uchiha. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual. Share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Was Neglected and Lost Everything over on Anime King 2. And stay tuned for a brand new episode over Anime King 3. If you're new, yes, you're hearing that right. I have 3 channels: Anime King 2, and Anime King 3. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button. Links will be down in the description for you guys to enjoy the other channels. I post every single day, 3 what ifs a day for you guys to enjoy. So yeah, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family and enjoy. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say begin this new episode? Start the intro. So the last time we left off, Blue had woke up on the island of Uzu. The crows, they were the one that went into the Shinigami's stomach and pulled out Naruto's soul. As Naruto had become the crow summoning contract, he spent 2 months just lying there commanding the crows to put a shade over him. As Naruto felt weak, he felt incomplete. Half of his soul was gone after all. He didn't even feel human anymore. In fact, he wasn't a human, a demigod, or a god, and he was granted amazing abilities given that the crow summoning contract came from the god tree, and that piece that was placed inside of him turned him basically into it, and it was the homes of the crow. So that turned Naruto into literal hell, as they belonged to him. He was the control, he was the ruler of darkness, the underworld. As it took some time for him to get back mobility, learning how to walk, how to crawl, how to run, how to jog. Yes, he gained back mobility as he started to move around the island, regaining his strength, teaching himself, even learning about new abilities that he now possessed, as he could literally use hellfire. We then return back to the present time as Orochimaru had slaughtered all the root ninjas. She was the one who was going on a crusade, knowing that Root was involved in her son's death. Over the past 5 years, she has been slaughtering root after root ninjas. She was going to go after Minato next, but her son found her, as he had a revenge plan, something that would make Minato suffer. Orochimaru watched as Naruto brought Danzo's soul from the underworld as he was turned into a crow. If it was anyone else, she would have been jealous. After all, she spent years of trying to perfect Ito Tensei, and Naruto just could bring back soul like that. As he wanted to know about Minato finances, everything, as he was crumbling Minato business all over the elemental nation. At the village, Minato was pissed because he was losing many of his business. Many of his business positions were collapsing, burned, with nothing remaining. And now Naruto was going after his real estate business. He was gonna burn all the houses, as it was gonna seem as a gas leak, while his finances was gonna buy the houses and buy the company that had the insurance, so they would all come over to him. Someone will be coming to the village tomorrow to meet with Itachi. Back in the village, as Kushina was celebrating with her 3 favorite genins, the 3 Uchihas. As the girl was her favorite and everyone knew that. She got all of them a gift and she got Izumi a bow staff. She had to go buy some skin cream. Making her way, she was attacked by Obito. She was shocked. She didn't know him that well, but she knew that he was a part of the Namikaze team. He was said to have died. The both of them clashed against each other. Her chain was able to pierce him and rip through his side. The man was shocked by that as she started to adapt to his style after all. Kushina wasn't a weak person in any state of stance. He was hoping that she will settle down with Minato and have a child, so the seal would weaken. But when they got divorced, that was the final straw and he chose to attack. But he did not win. He did not come anywhere close to winning, as he had to flee, being knocked around, and also envoys were coming. She told the envoys to tell Minato that Obito was the one that attacked her. As a crow flew away and came back to Naruto, He knew that she could handle herself. Meanwhile, Yujito, as she heard about Naruto's, well, so-called death, and he was gone. She missed him a lot. As the both of them have spent a lot of time together, just under the stars watching the sky. She was currently on a vacation, ordered by the Raikage to take some time off. As she was browsing through the manga section when someone came beside her. As she could already tell, she was pissed off though, but he held her. As she could see it. Well, despite his eyes being bandaged, she could tell how sincere and how much he wanted to apologize to her. As Naruto was holding on to her, she once again felt that warmth that no one was ever able to give her before, despite the both of them never having a physical relationship. As she knew that she liked him different from most people. Was it because of the hunt of him turning her down and she wanted him? No, she didn't think that. As she invited him over because she learned how to cook in the past 5 years. A lot better. Someone bumped into Naruto as Naruto chose to ignore the person. But the person just wouldn't let it go. Jiraiya of the Sun as he noticed Naruto features. Jiraiya's eyes went wide as Naruto grabbed his face and flew off with him. Meanwhile, in the moon, someone was watching Naruto. As this person has been locked away for a very, very long time now. But Naruto has caught her interest since day one, and now the blonde was more than human. As the woman that was watching him smiled pleasantly, she couldn't wait to meet him face to face. So yeah guys, that's basically that's what left off. You guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself. So this will be in this new episode. Jiraiya fell from the sky with an earth-shattering thud. The sage followed through with his land and rolled backwards quickly. I've never killed a Sanin before. As Jiraiya fixed himself up as he heard the voice, the wind changed direction as Jiraiya stood up unafraid. As the moonlight shined down brightly on where he landed, it was a white glade with a thin river cutting right through the center. It was north to the land of salt water. The edge of his vision blurred. He quickly shattered the illusion, trying to be placed on him. Blue was standing on the rushing river, like he has always been there. The light from the moon provided enough illumination for the Toad Sanin to know that was the man that Minato said was dead. Blue. Naruto, Blue Uchiha. He was standing in front of him. The 6 feet tall Uchiha was in a black cloak that seemed to be darker than his surroundings, with a high collar that hid his mouth. But he showed the bandage that wrapped around his eyes. His black, blonde hair swayed from side to side, slowly and gently. His feet was wrapped in black shinobi sandals. Jiraiya crossed his arms, showing an image of power. The corners of Blue's lips turned up into a smile. You're quieter than usual, Jiraiya, the man said. Darkness seeping out of his side. Shocking. How are you not dead? Minato killed you, said Jiraiya. Tell me, does that really matter, Naruto asked. I suppose not. Not until I get you back to Konoha, and your Mindwalker friend pick your brain for answers, and Inoichi would. Being a Leaf Shinobi, a husband, a father. Being a clan head. He had too much to lose if he defied orders. Jiraiya then scratched his chin in thought. I wonder, all of this could have been avoided if I had handed over Crystalline, said Naruto, finishing his statement for Jiraiya as he breathed out and shook his head. Combat is already more technical, and ordinary life is already in danger. We don't need Crystalline in everyone's hands, but yours. You selfish brat, Jiraiya said. I never give a shit what you thought, Jiraiya, said Naruto. The darkness seeping out from him. Not even the moonlight could breach how dark it was. Your existence is overhyped. Just like that student of yours. Come quietly and I'll just knock out of you with teeth. From the smart mouth of yours, said Jiraiya. No, said Blue, as a crow flew down on his shoulder, before leaping off a second later. You're dying here, Jiraiya, said Naruto. I was hoping that you'd resist, said Jiraiya. Let's see how long you can stay that smug. Jiraiya then finally seemed to notice the changes. As Naruto didn't look like a man, he looked like a silhouette. Pure darkness. Crows are all over. Blue looked up at the moon, staring at it. As the darkness seeped back into his body, all at once the crows became silent. A chill ran down Jiraiya's spine. Blue took off his cloak and it burst into crows that turned into a black mist. He was wearing dark clothes underneath, a short black shirt that showed his pale arms, shinobi pants, and bandage on his feet, and sandals. He had red holster on the side of his thigh, with kunai and shuriken, nothing else. Jiraiya noticed he did not have his mid-range launchers or crystalline on him. Well, it would have been odd if he tried to use them right here. After all, Jiraiya wouldn't give him distance so he can use them on him. As Naruto's wicked expression darkened even more. Don't go easy on me just because I'm blind, okay? A blind Uchiha. Jiraiya scoffed. He rolled his shoulders as he settled into a fighting stance. When he was done grinding the Uchiha head into base, he will make sure that Blue is properly healed for him to go back to Noha. And he wasn't going to make the mistake of holding back. Not one bit. This is gonna be fun, Jiraiya said. Yes, Jiraiya. This is gonna be fun, said Naruto. Jiraiya rushed through hand signs so quickly as he held up a rotten seal. Fire release. Fire bullet flame jutsu. A magnificent, massive dragon. Golden red flames roared from Jiraiya's lips. Flying towards Naruto was still standing right on the stream. As Naruto raised his left hand up to his chest, the dragon roared to consume him. As Naruto's finger flashed through 8 one-handed seals. Water release. Earthen wall of Atlantis, he said. The water underneath that he has been pouring his chakra into flew up into a massive defense. A thick wall with red and black chakra seeping through it. It had 10 Hydra heads on the top, with spears going off into every direction. The fire dragon slammed into it as it was turned into steam, succumbing to the water. Steam billowed around the blind Uchiha as he stood there. One of his eyebrows flickered as he glanced over his shoulder. Jiraiya was behind him, a Rasengan twirling in his hand. As he drove his arm forward, Rasengan, he said, ready to end the match before it even began. Meanwhile, Blue, Yujito looked around. One minute she was holding his hand. The next moment she was holding a piece of paper that read, "I'll be right back." She grumbled, "Damn it, Blue, not again." "He will never like you, you know," someone said. Her voice sounding uncaring. As Yujito whirled around to face this person, she narrowed her eyes at the speaker. The person shrugged, not really caring, and just looked away. "Not the way you like him." The stranger had a mocha compression, with her hair tied into dreadlocks, running down the back of her head. Her lips were painted in a black lipstick. Her golden, sneak eyes looked at Yujito. She was dressed in a yellow and silver kimono, with winter roses on it, with flat sandals. "And tell me, whoever you are, how's that any of your goddamn business?" A mother intuition, the woman said, as she watched a few children pass them, holding sparklers over their head as they laugh and giggle. Mother? Yujito said, as she narrowed her eyes. Orochimaru? As the disguised Orochimaru winked. Overcoming her shock and pushing away any fear, Yujito wondered how the snake lady was using a hench to hide her real face without using chakra. Orochimaru's smile widened, showing her fangs, and Yujito realized she wasn't using an illusion. "Don't scream," she said as she moved closer. "And listen carefully, Yujito. I'll only say this once." Yujito's mind was searching for a way out, just in case things between her and the S-rank missing ninja went south, who was in fact her love interest's mother. "When all of this is over, when you and my son are finished burning down the Namikaze estates, I want you to disappear, or you will disappear." Yujito grit her teeth as the killer intent from Orochimaru was being focused on her solely. Her heart pounded in her chest. Her eyes were switching, yellow and green from Nibe. "Do we have an understanding, Yujito?" "Hell, no. Screw that," said Yujito. "I see," Orochimaru said as she bobbed her head as she tapped her chin, looking over Yujito like she was imagining her body split into pieces to be studied at her laboratory. Yujito fought down the feeling to shiver in horror. "You're not a very smart girl, are you, Yujito? I don't care if you don't approve of me. Naruto and I are going to happen." Orochimaru's fingers rubbed down the back of her cheek. Such naive. Yujito pulled her head back. "How about this? You have 10 hours to finish your business with my son. Leave and never contact him again. Or..." Even Nibe was getting riled up inside Yujito's gut. "I'll put you in a hole so dark and deep. Not even someone as omnipotent as my son would be able to piece your soul back together." Yujito snarled, killer intent, pushed back towards Orochimaru as blue chakra started to swirl gently around her. Orochimaru patted her on the cheek despite the tail beast chakra. There we go. Seems you finally understand what I've been trying to tell you. Screw you, bitch, said Yujito, keeping the Nibic chakra from burning down the general area, sending all of the anger towards Orochimaru. Watch what you say to me, or I will turn you into nothing. Is that so? Said Orochimaru. Enjoy the festival while you still can. I recommend you try the yakitori. It's phenomenal. As she seemed to walk by her, disappearing into the crowd as Yujito's eyes followed her the entire way. Yujito closed her eyes, mentally telling the tail beast to settle down. As she took several deep breaths and calmed herself, she pulled a small mirror and checked her reflection. Old hag, she said. Meanwhile, the master of Crow was an anomaly even to himself. He was a deadly, powerful shinobi even before this happened to him, as everyone ever feared his power and strength. His years undergoing personal rehabilitation at Uzu had not gone to waste, as he pushed himself beyond his limits, trying to find out what his new deityhood provided him with. But there was something though. He couldn't just reach and rip out your soul out of your chest. That's what irked him a bit. The person either had to wish for death or had to be on the brink of death. He couldn't just pluck out their soul if he wanted to, but he could set fire to them, and they would probably sing for the Shinigami to take them away from their misery. In the case of death, if someone was on, like life support, or in grave wounds, knowing that they were going to die in a few hours or so, he could remove their soul. At the moment, he would just beat Jiraiya to an inch of his life and make the man wish that he was dead. Yes, that would be so much more satisfying. The Rasengan in Jiraiya's arm swing towards the Uchiha's back, but just for a split second the world flashed black and white. Jiraiya's eyes bugged out. The tip of a blade scratched the base of his skull, drawing out a bleed of blood. Not so much to worry, but enough for it to sting. Someone was behind him. As the world returned back to normal, that black and white color vanishing, Jiraiya ducked as he knee rolled away, dispersing the Rasengan. As he turned around to see Naruto standing there, behind him was a water clone with a single cone in his hand, twirling it. You didn't see that coming, the real Naruto asked. His lips twitched up into a smile. The steam around Naruto was still there. As Jiraiya got it now, the steam was full of his chakra, as he never knew that he could turn the water into a clone like that, just by using his chakra to mold it. Damn it. As the clone went back into the water, the problem was, when water was flowing that harsh, you couldn't mold it so quickly, unless you had perfect water control, like Tobirama Senju. So this was rather shocking. As Jiraiya looked down, the whirlpool of water below Naruto was swirling, hectically on his feet. The Shinigami once said that half of Blue's soul had the same weight as a tail beast. In life, the Blue Uchiha didn't have that much chakra to brag about, but now in death, his body was open to a floodgate of chakra. The abyss was a primal form of just pure chakra, and at this very moment Naruto was the abyss. These universal secrets that Jiraiya did not know of was the same thing that's gonna get him killed. His head cocked to the side that smile. Try again. Jiraiya's eye twitched, and that is exactly what he did, bursting off with so much chakra the ground crack, as his feet came barreling through the air to take Blue's head right off. Naruto slid under it as he jumped over a sweeping kick that Jiraiya delivered. He twisted his head to the side as a fist passed his head. The vortex of water never lost his control, as it was still stirring around. He used the back of his hand to slap away a punch towards his head. He turned and knocked a fist straight up in the air as he ducked right under a roundhouse kick. I see, he said, getting Jiraiya fighting style. Jiraiya swept as he launched another brutal kick towards the back of his head. And then there was a millisecond as everything went black and white. On instinct, Jiraiya did not once look at Blue's face. He still had the Uchiha bloodline running through his veins, so he did not see the look that appeared on Blue's face. His dangerous senses went on edge as he leaped out of the swirling whirlpool. As he landed on the grass, needle jive though he said, as his hair grew long and thick, even going down towards the grass on the ground. Blue flicked his wrist as two shurikens appeared. He lowered himself. Jiraiya fired off the needle. As Naruto threw the shurikens, they intercepted in mid-air, the sound clashing against each other. Broken needles and shards fell on the ground. Then the ninja wire that was connected to the last, glinting metal, that was connected to his pinky finger as he flashed one hand sign. Shadow Shuriken technique. Jiraiya's eyes went wide as that one transformed into 50. He quickly brought his ear up. Shadow Shuriken clashed against Shadow Shuriken, curving their trajectory all over. They stab into the ground. All the explosive seals on them start to light up. Red and black chakra. Boom! There were no flames, only a massive shockwave that reshaped the entire glacier. Blue used his forearm to cover his face as a heated blast washed over him. His clothes flapped violently. He smiled to himself as Jiraiya had brought out something he didn't want to use. Don't joke with me, brat, the toad said curse. Holding Ram's seal in front of his face, his eyes snapped open. Sage mode. Ma and Power on his shoulders, using nature energy to keep the shockwave away from their summoner. You fight like a movie star, said Blue. Loud, arrogant attacks with a stupid defense. That can't be why you're assigning. You don't want to see me when I'm mad, Jiraiya said. Warts grew on his face. His nose became fatter. His eyes became amphibious. Trust me, he said. As Blue chuckled. Neither do you. Show me your anger, he said. The increase in speed and strength was noticeable as Jiraiya moved, as their hands clashed together. As Blue used the momentum to kick right off of Jiraiya's chest. Fire release. Toad oil flame bullet. The attack slammed into Blue Airborne's body as the toes on his shoulder released oil with his fire burning Blue. Jiraiya's eyes wide when instead of crying out in pain, the Uchiha simply stood in the center of the fire. As he dusted off his shoulder, he smirked, his bandaged eyes swirled in their white blindness as Blue started off in a jog as he rushed right through the oil fire, running directly as his body tore a trench through the earth as he moved. Just in nick of time, Jiraiya cut out the fire jutsu as he blocked a knee to his face, shoving back Blue. His right forearm smacked away a fist to his side, but a knee slammed into his gut as Blue dodged left and drive a fist, breaking two of Jiraiya's ribs. Blood exploded out of Jiraiya's mouth as Ma cried out, "Jiraiya boy!" Jiraiya leaped over a swinging leg kick. As Blue shot his fist forward, a column of black and red flames exploded from his fist. He quickly brought his arms up using nature energy to protect himself from the flames. As there were red markings all over his body, an internal battle was happening between his Sage Mode chakra and an unknown chakra poison that was disturbing the muscles in his arms and the hairline fractures on his forearms. When human chakra invaded another human being, it was known as genjutsu, but chakra poison from a human to a human was unheard of. That was only seen when it comes to Jinjulkis, because their tail beast chakra, if it was mixed with their own, could poison another human. But from a human to human, that was unheard of. Jiraiya coughed up blood. He smashed his fists together, pushing out as much of the chakra as he can. The fire behind Blue just stood there, moving and swaying side to side, like he was trapped in some kind of barrier, but Jiraiya did not see any barrier seal. Even though the flames were brushing up against trees and foliage, they were not burning them. As Blue shot forward, Jiraiya brought up his defense. Attacks after attacks came relentlessly. A brutal kick in his shoulder launched him into a trench as Jiraiya crashed in the ground. Blue dropped down, boom, with the axe kick. The ground under Jiraiya cracked and spread out like a spider web. As Naruto drove his fist down into his stomach, boom! He then brought his elbow right towards Jiraiya's neck, but it was blocked. Using Sage Mode, Jiraiya diverted the elbow that was about to crush his windpipe as he drove a fist towards Naruto's shoulder, who slapped it away. Jiraiya had reached up and grabbed. Blue pulled his head back as Jiraiya popped out a few of his strand. As Blue stepped back, Jiraiya lifted his head, but right in the path of Blue kick. BAM! Blue's feet smashed into his skull. Ma and Pa screamed for Jiraiya to stay with them as Jiraiya saw white. As Ma and Pa pushed dangerous amount of nature energy to try and heal the head trauma. Unfortunately, they were not quick enough. The black reddish chakra flew through Blue's body as it flew into his left hand as he brought it up, driving his hand forward. His four fingers dig, breaking in Jiraiya's chest plate. A surge of chakra came a moment later. Boom! The air in his lungs left him as Jiraiya was sent sailing. Flying, unlike a skipping stone, his body could not be stopped. Blue's finger blurred through forehand signs. Water release. Still water rampart. A wall of water shot out of the whirlpool. Jiraiya's back mercilessly slammed into it. Before he could move, a Sparta kick slammed into its already messed up chest, bursting him through the water. Ma and Pa struggled to help Jiraiya maintain his sage mode. Jiraiya was knocked into a heap as his mind got clear with Ma and Pa pushing nature energy, trying to make him stay with them. Jiraiya quickly went through handstand as fire didn't seem to work. Lightning release. Master Bolt of the lightning god, Jiraiya said. A beam of bright light erupted from the space between his fingers. Blue hand was already moving as soon as Jiraiya was moving. Earth release. Lightning conductor. As a pillar of golden earth came up, the lightning attack slammed into it and spread it on the earth. It was doing as the jutsu implied. It was spreading the conductor away. A yellow flash different from the white light blinked to Blue's right. Got you. Jiraiya was there with a Rasengan in hand. Jiraiya wasn't a master of the Rasengan, and he wasn't a master of the Harishin like his student. But after years of seeing Minato do it, and trying his best, Jiraiya was able to replicate it, but on a much slower pace. As he knew he was gonna die tonight, he knew that, as he could feel it. He couldn't tell Minato how proud he was of him, as he could see his end, by this brat nonetheless. But he will take him down, he wouldn't die like a punk. Jiraiya launched a Rasengan forward, only for it to sizzle away, his hand harmlessly, hitting against Blue's arm. Chakra, poison. A white smirk was on Blue's face as he looked down at Jiraiya. What fighting spirit he had left fizzled out of the man. He was close to being unconscious from smoke inhalation, as the man stood there, looking helpless. Jiraiya was rattled as a kick slammed into his face, knocking him back. This fighting style was not the one he knew Blue for using, where he mainly used defense and then his launchers. This fighting style he knew of it. It was a descending, chaos, whirlpool fist. It was the highest form of the Uzumaki fighting style. Only person that was able to use this was Kushina, the only one that had been able to master it. But this was a higher form. This style could be altered, but it was mainly used for aggressive blows, and waiting for the person to attack to use them as a leverage to increase your speed. Kushina had changed it to a fiery personality and quick and precise moves. But this fighting style, descending chaos whirlpool, was a far more advanced style than the falling whirlpool that Kushina used. Where the hell did Blue learn a lost Uzumaki fighting style? How and why was he impervious to fire? How was he even still alive? Fire doesn't just burn, Jiraiya, Blue said. As he widened his arms, piles of smoke went up in the air. The more you breathe, the harder it becomes. Jiraiya coughed at the back of his hand, hunched over. You could have killed me quicker, brat. Burned me to a crisp. You're stalling. I really could have, but you see, if I burn you into oblivion, what would be left for you to have for your boy Minato? After all, I have to be considerate. It's just who I am. The Blue Uchiha might have been unable to drag Jiraiya's soul to hell, but he could ignite that part of the forest with hellfire. I'll give you props though. You're taking this a lot better than Killer Bee, because by this point Killer Bee could barely keep his eyes open, and he couldn't stop the onslaught when the smoke had filled his lungs. No doubt he's gotten stronger. Well, cross that bridge when I get there. As Blue fist smashed into Jiraiya's face, the two toads were blown off his shoulder as his body slammed into a trench. As Jiraiya lost his sage mode, as the man struggled to move, his body wailing in agony, Blue picked him up by his hair and smashed his knee right into Jiraiya's face. Several of Jiraiya's teeth broke, blood oozed out of his mouth, as the man croaked like a toad, his body in unending pain. As Jiraiya coughed, smoke coming out of his mouth. A single crow on the inferno of fire had a 3-totem Sharingan implanted in his eye socket. Ma and Pa were struggling to get back to their feet as Jiraiya was picked up off the ground by Naruto. As Naruto held him by his hair. Tell Minato you can find this teacher here, he said, looking at the two toads. I'll be gone in a minute. I have stuff to do. Jiraiya used every willpower he had right there and then as he turned his head towards the toads. Run! Ma screamed as Jiraiya's head was enveloped in flames. Pa had to hold her back as he reverse summoned them back towards the toad realm. Jiraiya dropped, screaming in pain and agony as the flames slowly eat away his flesh before melting his skull. It went down his throat, burning all of his internal organs to nothingness. Blue squatted down, his sensory abilities studying everything as he could picture the image quite clearly. The demonic power bursting through its flames, its flaming cores pushing into his reserves, gave him unseen universal jutsus that couldn't even be pushed as normal human means. He had held back, yes, a great deal from using any monstrous inhuman strength or testing out some of the more dangerous things that he could do. He wasn't used to all of this, not yet. He tapped his chin. This might be a problem in the future. He didn't want his retribution to be as easy as setting fire to the entire village by just walking to Konoha. And he could do that. It was tempting. But he had people in the village he cared about. Itachi, Yujeu, Shisui, Izumi, Kushina, Inoichi, and his clan. There were also people that didn't think that he was a crazy maniac. And even blind as he is, he could pick them out from the crowd. He dimmed the flames as a hellfire ran into his back, going back into the underworld. His attention went back to Jiraiya. Oh, he's dead. Train, he thought to himself. As he had to control his godlike abilities, more training. Jiraiya's soul was already burned in hell. Blue smiled as he heard the torturous screams. The flames that remained on Jiraiya's skull would burn for a few more days. As the blind Uchiha rose up smoothly, he didn't know that until his last day at Usu, that he could resurrect long dead Uchiha with their eyes that were still usable, only though he couldn't transplant them into his own, because simply they weren't Mangekyous. And even when he found one or two, they couldn't contain his power. Right now, he didn't need a Mangekyo Sharingan. He had abilities that were far surpassing that. A rough guess, he needed the eyes of someone related to him to acquire his final ocular evolution. Mikoto. A smile came on his face. She fit the needed requirements perfectly. He didn't see the need for acquiring the perfect Ikara Mangekyo Sharingan, but he feared that in the future he will need it when all is said and done with Minato and his doubtful friends. As he turns attention towards the moon light that was shining down on him, as he felt the celestial primal chakra, as his eyes narrowed under the bandage. Some minutes later, at Konoha, Ichiro Ramen stand, Minato felt the burning marks of where Blue had touched him, with those burning marks still on his body throb a bit, as someone sit down beside his right. After all, he was the one that called for her. As Toki looked towards the girl, it was Yujeo. Lord Hokage, she said. As Hokage had summoned her, she didn't feel like changing. She had a white t-shirt and blue pants. There was no weapon visible on her, but he knew that she had her weapons sealed away, equipment already ready. After all, the girl was an Anvu, and Naruto's childhood best friend. She was prepared for anything that may come. Minato knew better. Yujeo has been in and out of a relationship for the past few years since Blue disappeared. And any falling out was not because of the woman was asexual. It was because of her exes withdrawing because she was too dependent. They wanted her to depend on them some more. The woman could handle everything by herself. It wasn't like she really needed them. Even though sex wasn't important to her, being asexual didn't mean that she didn't do it. The man rubbed his neck as he cleared his throat. Looking at her, the only thing he could see was Blue, as she was his best friend since they were younger. Minato could only see her as a tomboy, and looking at her, it always reminded him of Blue. As Toki placed on a broth ramen in front of her, she broke the chopstick as she started to eat. Jiraiya is dead. She paused. Minato noticed a shot that passed through her eyes as she kept her gaze on her food. As Minato looked at his bowl of ramen, the chopstick beside it, the woman sat up as her lips, her face turned towards him. "I'm sorry to hear that," she said, searching her mind for a compliment for the late sage. He was a strong shinobi. She didn't really respect him, not as a person but as a shinobi. Not even Uncle respected him, and Uncle was a pervert. Her stomach grumbled a bit, as she was in the process of making some rice for her and Itachi, some late night rice. How did he died? Naruto killed him. That caught her attention more so than Jiraiya's death. "My toads told me. You want me to investigate? Retrieve Lord Jiraiya's body?" she questioned. Minato knew why she wanted to investigate, to find her dead friend. "What do you want me to do, Lord Hokage?" His eyes narrowed. "If I didn't know any better, I think You were almost happy to hear that he's alive. Sir? His hands curled into fists as she moved her arms back. His eyes became angry with rage, but he didn't smirk. He was a Yellow Flash, the fastest man on this planet. If he wanted to kill her, she wouldn't even know until her head was looking up at her body from the ground. Has he contacted you, Uchiha? He asked direct. No, she said. Blue hasn't contacted me. His eyes were firmly on her. Are you sure? Yes, sir, she said. I wonder, why is that? Her fingers started digging into her thigh as she was getting angry. Wasn't Naruto your best friend? I thought, no, I hope, on the off chance he was alive, that he would reach out to you. That was the same look and the same tone he used all those years ago when he turned their friends against Naruto to let you know where he was and ask you about your health. Is he really your best friend? He has his reasons, and whatever they are, I respect them. I'm okay with knowing that he's okay. By any chance, do you have a way to contact him? No, I don't, she said. The man scratched his cheek. That's too bad. That's too bad. He is still a dangerous criminal, so apprehending him is our top priority. But I don't want to cause a panic, announcing that he's alive after I ensure the village of his death. That was a big blow to his pride after all. He was the one that said Blue was dead and now he wasn't. The minority of the village that mourned the loss of Blue would be angry by the news that the man had claimed that Blue was dead. The Uchiha clan, without the support of their clan head who doubted Blue, would become violent. They would not obey orders, and in that extreme case they might even leave the village to find Blue, or the other part of the village that respected Blue in a great deal from the war. If they were to break away from the village, that would cause pure chaos. Uchiha could see every falseness of his selflessness after Naruto had told her about this man, acting like he heard when he didn't even give a damn, trying to turn them against Blue all those years ago. This man was just out for himself, a jealous, petty, insecure man. I want you to go and bring Jiraiya's body back. He deserves a hero funeral. Yes, Lord Hokage. She struggled, giving the proper respect he deserved, as he did not deserve any. I will gather my... No. You will go along with Yamato and Kakashi. Her head looked to the left as Kakashi was there at the ramen stand, as he waved towards her, as he placed a hand behind his head. We're friends. Right, Uchiha, said Minato, as he broke the chopsticks. Her hand lowered towards her thigh, as he looked down into his shrimp ramen. You will tell me if Naruto contact you, right, Uchiha? She narrowed her eyes at the man. Yes, sir. Okay, as he smiled brightly, as he slurped down the ramen noodles, raising forefingers so Toki to bring him 4 more bowls. I believe you. Bring Jiraiya back intact, and if you engage Naruto, use the intent to kill, okay? Yes, sir, she said. Dismiss. She bowed and left with Kakashi, nodding her greeting with Yamato as he was outside waiting. They wore their envoy masks as they left the village. As Toki brought 4 more bowls. You seem happy, Lord Hokage, the man said. Tell me, Toki, the man asked. What do you think of Naruto? Toki was right about their age, and then retired as a chonin and became a chef to open his ramen stand. As he wanted to improve it, he wanted to grow a ramen empire. Well, said Minato, Blue gave me a loan to start up my business. He also connected me to Uchiha's father for local cooking ingredients. Everything Toki made, he used fresh ingredients that were grown, nothing store-bought. As Naruto was the one that made, Toki got supply from the man. The man was a good friend of Naruto, after all, seeing that he looked out for his daughter. And despite wanting to grow like a boy and act tough, he was glad that Naruto looked out for her. He thought that one day the both of them would get together, but after Naruto disappeared, it was not looking likely. When I retired, I didn't have a penny to my name. No bank would give me a loan, Toki said, as his 6-year-old daughter passed behind him carrying a tray of ramen to a group of jonins, while his wife was at the back preparing more food. Blue found out about my situation and he loaned me more than enough money I didn't even know what to do with. Lord Ayo Uzuki, Uchiha's father, wouldn't have gave me a second glance if Blue hadn't vouched for me. Ayo Uzuki had top-tier products, and there was wealthy restaurant chains that wanted to buy from him. To have the man take time out of his day to speak to someone was a dream most restaurant owners couldn't even believe. Cooking is my first passion, Lord Minato. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now if it wasn't for his help. Minato looked up. Well, it's a good thing he's dead. You don't have to repeat the loan. Toki shook his head. I will give the money to his nephew, Itachi, or Uchiha if Itachi doesn't have a bank account by that time. I always repay my... The man froze. Lord Minato? He reached into his cupboard as he pulled that stainless steel spatula, giving it to the blonde. Your eyes. Minato glanced at his reflection in his spatula. As his heart trembled, his eyes were milky white. He jolted out of a tall seat. His vision was replaced by a house on fire. But that wasn't Konoha. He knew every part of his village, and this wasn't Konoha, but he could see houses. Houses, a lot of them on fire, burning. He heard a dark, devilish chuckle in his head. He spun around, but the only thing he saw was houses on fire, red, and black flames swallowing them. The flames scorching the ground. There will never be another shrub, a tree to grow right there ever again. All the world was black and white, and yet the fire was the only color as it burned bright red. His eyes looked down towards his hands, and it wasn't his hands. They were pale, and his fingernails were painted black. A pair of red gloves were over his hands, and there was a map of the hidden stone. The far eastern corner of the hidden stone was charred black. Minato didn't even need to be told that it was his real estate assets that were at a blaze. The laughter in his head increased as his pulse raised. Little by little, bit by bit, I will end you, Minato. Minato was torn out of the vision as he saw Toki and some others checking on his health. Dark, demonic laughter coming from the soul fragment in his stomach. Rage with laughter, unending rage. Naruto had made sure not to use any lighter fluid. This set Minato place on fire, and he did not use chakra. He told this to Uchito as well, so they wouldn't leave any trace of their presence. His arms were under his cloak. The burning, bright view of the houses was right in front of him. The sound of the gas line exploding was music to his ears. Uchito came up to him as she leaned her head onto his shoulder. First, he will take away Minato's money. Then he will disperse Minato's friends. Then he will destroy Minato's reputation by his own hand. Only after he had absolutely nothing, then and only then Blue will torture him into death. Where are we going now, Blue? Uchito asks. The land of sea, he said. Time skip. The land of sea. A beautiful, beautiful place indeed. As Naruto had a smile on his face. It was here. He will take something else from Minato. As his smile spread even more. But guys, be in subscribe right here. If you want the next person to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. Remember to share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Was Neglected and Lost Everything over on Anime King 2. And enjoy that, guys. And also guys, stay in tune for a new episode over on Anime King 3 that I'm going to be posting later on tonight. And I'm also going to be posting a new episode over on Anime King 2 of What If Naruto Was Too Advanced for His Age. So stay in tune for that, which I do hope that you guys will enjoy. And yeah, if you're new, you heard that correctly. I have 3 channels: Anime King 2, and Anime King 3. So if you're new, guys, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be posting a new episode for you guys to enjoy. So I just want to thank you all for your help and your support, and continue on with your comments, your likes, and turn on that bell notification to see exactly when I post. So yeah, I'm out for now. See you guys over at Anime King 3. Peace.